In recent years, humanities have witnessed a massive crisis, and along with that, it has been argued language has been decaying. I'm your host Cherry, and welcome back to the Little Scholar Show. Tonight, we'll be talking about language, namely both the role and the power of language. Our guests for today are Yeonja and Suyan, who both have committed themselves to linguistics as high schoolers. Welcome to the Little Scholar Show, Yeonja and Suyan.
Thank you for having us. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Now, Suyan, would you give us a brief overview of the topic?
Sure. The role of language is all about relationships. Let me put it this way. We all know the function of semicolons, right?
You mean the mark used to connect multiple points in writing?
Yes. Think about semicolons. Their role is to join two related but independent ideas. They highlight, put together, and indicate a pause between ideas. They give off particular image and nuances in sentences.
I get that, but how does that connect to language?
Well, language does the exact same thing between people. Just like the function of semicolons, language allows us to form relationships both as an individual and in society.
That's interesting. So the language connects people to people, indicating relationship between individuals and bonds us together.
Right. Language connects people to people just like a semicolon links to independent ideas. We can get our point or understanding quickly to one another by using the same language. For example, in phone calls or text messages.
There's more. Language even allows us to overcome cultural barriers due to how it is combined with culture. As linguist Edward Hall puts it, culture is communication and communication is culture. Remember when I mentioned that semicolons tie sentences together, providing further information and details?
Of course!
Similar to the semicolons' functions, language also shapes our thoughts and puts details into them.
Can you give us more specific examples?
A few years ago, I attended a middle school in America. I had difficulties communicating with other kids. The language barrier made the environment uncomfortable and difficult to fit in. It created a cultural disconnect. However, after about 3 months, my English improved and I was fully able to adapt myself to the American culture. It can be difficult to feel as though you belong in a culture when a language barrier is present. Yet, mastery of the language can aid you in overcoming the cultural disconnect itself.
I've never imagined language has to do with culture. It's astounding that language enables us to overcome cultural barriers and form relationships.
Indeed. There's even more. Language itself strengthens the relationship between the very same language users. According to Professor Mark Paul at McGill University, people tend to trust each other more when they speak the same language. Therefore, learning a foreign language means you can make friends in other countries more easily. I became close with friends in other countries by my repeated use of English with them. Keeping in touch with them, I became confident in English and eventually, I could feel a sense of intimacy with them. Upon realizing the power language holds, I also started to learn Spanish.
That's interesting. So basically, you guys, the audiences of the show, and I, the host, are also connected by English. I speak in English as a host, and everyone watching the show in English. English is a key link.
Right. If you were to speak in Spanish like, Hola, buenas tardes, encantada de conocerte a todos. Most of the audience wouldn't understand you, and that could perhaps create a disconnect in the relationship between us.
Amazing. So this is the role of language, power of language's role. It connects people to people, country to country, and basically the whole world across the culture. It's a primary tool that enables us to form relationships, interact with each other, and socialize. Amazing. Now it's time to wrap up the show. It was such a great time having you two tonight, and after all the talks about language, I'm shocked at how crucial language truly is. We should always be sure to take great care in the one we're using. If we don't, we risk creating disconnections and thus maybe losing out on relationships. Join us next week at Little Scholar Show. I'm your host Cherry. Have a great night.